Welcome, Avatar. Several of you are new here and are looking for ways to earn the most amount of money with the least amount of effort in a career or job. Things have changed over the past 10 years, but a lot of the strategies BTB has created still hold today. As usual, we can give you the blueprint, but you are the only one who can execute it. In this video, we will go through the process of getting your first career. Let's go. Part 1. Getting an income stream. First off, choosing the career or job. As a quick reminder, a job means time for money exchange with an hourly wage. Career means performance-based income, and a business earns money while you sleep. The focus here is getting everyone into a career as soon as possible. Sales, mergers and acquisitions on Wall Street, or engineering and coding type roles. If you're looking for your first job or career, we've got some good news for you. In the 21st century, you can now spot the companies that are smart enough to adapt. If you cannot find a role in something that allows you to work from home, you're going to fall behind. The only reason to show up to some sort of office is that you desperately need the money. In almost all circumstances, we'd choose a position that is remote. Putting some numbers around it, if you have to choose between a $60,000 a year remote career or $100,000 a year career, we'd honestly take the first one. The first one allows you to get yet another work-from-home career, or it allows you to take your first steps into e-commerce and affiliate marketing. When you're young and nimble like a jet ski, always choose the options that open the most doors for you. Getting the career or job. Not much has changed. Employers are risk-averse. They will choose the person who is most likely to not screw it up. This is because people hate headaches and hate being seen as the person who hired the headache. Put yourself in their shoes. You want someone to simply show up and require the least amount of training, and do their jobs good enough on day one. To flush this point out even more, why would a middle manager want to deal with someone who is high risk? He is the person hiring the individual, so if he does a bad job with hiring, he will be seen as the issue in the company. He likely has a family, and by making a bold decision, all he does is risk getting fired. Also, if the big risk he took pays off, he is going to see less than 10% of the credit since his boss and everyone else will jump in to claim credit like vultures. Get the resume ready. Knowing this, you want your resume to be 1 page in length, that is it. A good example is this resume format. That Word template is perfectly fine, just sit down and create something similar. This is a good skill to have anyway. Also, convert it to PDF. If the person has a different version of Word, the format could get screwed up, and that isn't worth the risk. Point of emphasis. During any application, you want to make sure that your resume goes straight to the most important items. If you are in school, the first thing to show up should be your school name. If you already have work experience, you want to put education at the bottom of the resume and move all work experience to the top, just below the header. Experience wins when comparing a 4.0 GPA student to even a 3.4 GPA student. Go back to the first paragraph. Who can do this job with the least amount of errors on day one? Networking and career events. These events surely died due to COVID-19. If they come back to your campus, it's the usual step-by-step sell pattern. 1. Hello, my name is XYZ. 2. I am interested in XYZ specific position because I have X and Y experience. And 3. I'm graduating in 2000XX and would love to hear more about the application process for XYZ specific position. As you can see, networking and career events are not really networking. It is more like a sales funnel where people show up to get their faces seen. If you simply send resumes into human resources, they will miss a good 90% of the candidates. You know, they work in human resources, so they are likely lazy. Get through the interview. The entire interview process is essentially the same thing. What do they want to hear? You simply need to put yourself in their shoes and sell yourself in a way that implies less headache if you choose me. At this point, we do not know who you are interviewing with, so we'll have to stop there. Now, before moving on, let's answer the classic "which position do I choose" question. It all circles back to the same answer. Do you want to get rich or do you want to live an upper middle class lifestyle? If you want to become rich, you choose the one with the lower amount of hours with similar pay. If you want to live an upper middle class life with less perceived risk, you choose the most prestigious company. Using examples, if you have 2 M&A offers and one requires 80 hours a week, and the other 60 to 70 hours a week, choose the 60 to 70 hour a week one, unless there is a massive difference like Morgan Stanley versus complete no name. Always choose the one that offers a bit better lifestyle, so you can focus on building an affiliate marketing income stream, e-commerce income stream, or something else. It will easily make up for the $10,000 to $20,000 pre-tax total compensation difference. Part 2. Getting the system to work for you. Ah yes. If you haven't learned the above from BTB, you might go into work thinking, if I just work hard and follow the rules to the T, I'll be well liked and loved. Wrong. In the real world, every office has a political structure, and it is your job to understand how that structure works. As usual, follow the money. Impress the winners first. If you are the new guy on the team, you do not want to become friends with every single person above you in the pecking order. You want to be well liked by the guys bringing in the most money. If you are the support guy for 4 people, and you know that person A and person B bring in 80% of the office revenue, you get the idea. Work extra hard to make sure person A and person B love you, and work slightly less for person C and person D. As usual, there are always exceptions. If person C is seeing revenue growth of 100%, you could gamble on this person being well liked in the future. However, we're keeping it simple, and usually there are only 2 to 3 people who matter if you're reporting to 6 to 7 people. How to impress? While you may think it is all about work quality, it isn't. You want to make the person feel good around you. This is a natural balance. Start by doing everything absolutely perfectly, and you will find out that your work is basically the same as the person sitting next to you, particularly for entry-level tasks. The next step is just to feed the ego. The person you are taking orders from will believe he is better than you at everything, literally everything, and you want to make it seem like this is true as well. Everything he or she does is gold, and you're always impressed by them. So on and so forth. There is nothing to be gained by shrinking his or her ego. Only make it bigger and always be impressed. Smile, nod and agree if he or she says something wrong. You get nothing by pointing out that he or she is wrong, even if it is a fact. For example, if the guy says that bodybuilders are 100% natural and never use steroids or drugs, you agree and never reveal how crazy that comment is. About 6 months. Many think they have to continue putting up all the right signals, showing up early, schmoozing with the right people, etc. In reality, it takes about 6 months to put in a solid foundation. After that, you should take your foot off the gas a bit and simply maintain your good standing with the winners at the firm. In the meantime, since you do have to suck it up for a few months to make sure you're well liked, here are some extra tricks. 1. Make the life of the assistant easier. All expenses should be error-free and done to save him or her as much time as possible. 2. Organize all of your passwords with either one password or an Excel sheet that is locked with all of your passwords. 3. Figure out the highest ROI places to eat for your meal expenses if you work in a high-paying career. 4. Research and make sure you're taking advantage of all perks, 401k, medical, dental, discounts, etc. And 5. Front-run all of the annoying internal things you may have to do, standardized tests for example. For your desk setup, you also need to begin organizing for your eventual exit. Remember, you're not there to be the company man forever. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video anyway. So, here is what you need to have ready. 1. A clear desktop background so when you hide all your screens, it appears that you are still working. Have the standard background show an Excel sheet. 2. You should have one tab open with some obscure normal spreadsheet. In investment banking, this would be a comp sheet. If you have to suddenly change to a document, you have a real one that seems relevant if someone walks by. 3. Figure out your internet situation, hotspot ability to work from your desk. And 4. Get PDFs onto your computer to begin reading about copywriting, affiliate marketing, e-commerce, or the other venture you plan on starting. Enough to get promoted. At the lower levels, the only effort you need to put in is just enough to get promoted. If you are ranked number 1 in your class, you are doing it wrong. You want to be in the top performer group. There is no difference between being the guy who gets an A in the class and the guy who gets 100% and receives the same letter grade. Sure, the guy who gets ranked as numero uno might make $10,000 extra, but he'll be working for McDonald's level pay at that point, since each hour in a salary position decreases your hourly wage, misaligned incentives. One last thing. If you are the number 1 performer, you are going to have a harder time moving up later on. Why? Because your peers will view you as a threat. If you're crushing it at everything, the guys above you will eventually view you as a massive threat to them. This puts you into a terrible right-hand man situation, where you're essentially doing someone else's job with no pay raise. Conclusion. Here are the steps to gaming the system. 1. Focus on relevant experience. 2. Make sure your grades are good enough, 3.5 GPA. 3. Get the position and play politics to get ahead. 4. At your mid-year review, if you're in the top group, you've done enough. 5. Being number 1 just means you're doing too much and are being abused. 6. Start ramping up your side income. 7. If you do make it to a revenue-generating role where you're heavily incentivized, the game gets trickier. Ideally, that doesn't happen to you. Remember, choose the remote job if you're serious about getting rich. Part 3. The Ghost. It's time to close the loop and finish off the career. At this point, you should be doing just enough to be seen as a top performer, but spending all of your time building up another income stream. This is where patience and effort are required. Here are some basic tips. 1. Go into something recurring. Or 2. Go into something that is consumable, such as diet pills. If you try to become an influencer, it usually takes far too long. Even after 10 years of writing, the income from being a writer is still 1/15 of running an e-commerce store, using rough math. That said, here is the most important part: it will take at least 3 or 4 years. Everyone asks, how long until I make tons of money and can leave? The answer is cold-blooded. It depends on how smart and talented you are. Some people can get to 2 times their annual income within a year or 2. Others take 5 to 6 years, and 90% just give up since it isn't easy. To be clear, the 3 to 4 year metric assumes you're pretty talented and will only quit if you are making 2 times your career income. You never quit until you're making at least double from your business line. The Ghost. Yes, we have no idea if you work in sales, tech, or finance. The thing we do know? It takes practically no talent at all to be a middle-of-the-pack performer. If you are skilled enough to be seen as a top performer, you can move to the middle of the pack by doing 50% less work. While you're in the transition phase where you are ready to quit and move on, then you want to take your foot off the gas, but remain in neutral standing. Don't make it obvious and drastic. As you take your foot off the gas, you'll learn 2 things. 1. Middle performers get paid a ton for producing very little. And 2. You can collect a lot more income by slowing down versus suddenly quitting or trying to get a severance package. Naturally, some people may be inclined to get a severance package instead of being a mediocre performer. We've noticed that being mediocre is actually higher ROI. You can probably put in about 15 hours worth of work per week and remain in the middle of the pack. Your call. That is all for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe and I'll see you next week. Banks are zeros.